Hello and welcome to my podcast. Do me a favor, subscribe to the John Keim Report wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You can find us there as part of Ampire Media, AMPIRE. Always much appreciated when you tune in. Don't forget, you can read my work on ESPN.com. Also, for you gold members, I'm going to be doing a private Zoom session on Thursday night, 7:30 Eastern time with Doc Walker. Yes, former Redskins player, longtime guy in this area on various radio shows and programs, etc. Nobody bleeds burgundy and gold more than Doc Walker. And I think he'll be fired up for this matchup, fired up for this team in this season. And so join us for that session. Should be a lot of fun. If you want to become a gold member, go to the Ampire Media YouTube page, see the word join, click on that, go from there. And for the other club members, that the audio or the video will be available after we're done with the session. So anyways, but today I'm joined by former Washington Redskins coach Jay Gruden. And I wanted to bring Jay on because very few people study quarterbacks more than Jay Gruden, and he knows them very well. And I wanted to bring him on to talk about Jayden Daniels. He loves the guy. You're going to enjoy what he has to say. You're going to enjoy what he has to say about Cliff Kingsbury's offense and what's going on here. And, so I always, like I said, he provides good insight. He's doing a lot of work. He does work for Underdog Fantasy. I'm glad he's staying involved in analyzing the games because I think he does a really good job with that. And that's why I always appreciated his insight. And it's why I wanted to bring him on now. So anyways, that's it from me. So here's my conversation with former Washington Redskins coach, Jay Gruden. All right, Jay. Well, first of all, always good to talk to you, always entertaining for insight, but also the humor. And I think people are starting to see more and more of your humor on social media. And because you're doing Underdog Fantasy, you're more active on Twitter. How much are you enjoying that?
That's fun. It's a way for me to stay involved without putting in 20 hours a day, so I get to watch film and crack a few jokes here and there. But to stay involved in it is something that I've enjoyed immensely without putting the crazy hours in and, coaching.
Well, and how much are you how much are you still able to watch? Like, what's your routine for a weekend or a games or whatever?
It depends on what I'm doing with Underdog. We have a show called Clean Pocket on YouTube, and we might do a game of the week, so I'll watch those teams quite closely. I try to stay updated on every game. I go watch all the games on Sunday, and I come back and I'll rewatch some of the things that are interesting to me, some of the good teams, some of the good offenses, some of the good defenses. I still try to stay relevant in my mind what's going on around the league. So I'll pop in the hot teams, the Houston Texans. I'll pop in what the Commanders are doing. I'll pop in what Minnesota's doing to stay refreshed on what's going on in the NFL.
And then, like I said, the humor. And so the one that was the other day was somebody had the T-shirt, "I survived the Snyder era." And
Yeah.
your comment was, "I'm glad somebody did." So
Yeah.
you're at least having some fun with it too.
Yeah, that was my wife's idea. We saw her like walk by. She's a friend of ours. We go to the same place all the time on Sundays, and thought it'd be pretty funny.
What's it like for you to watch what this organization is doing now?
I mean, it's unbelievable, really. It's been fun to watch, and it's what they've done with their personnel. First of all, I think the front office did a great job addressing some serious needs that they had. Interior offensive line they fixed up. They got Biadasz from Dallas and Allegretti from Kansas City, and then tight end they got Zach Ertz. They drafted a kid in a third round, Sanat. And then defensively, they needed some leadership on defense. They got Bobby Wagner. They got Luvu. They got, they still got Payne and Allen. They got Armstrong from Dallas. So they adjusted their personnel, but most importantly, they hit a home run at the quarterback. And I mean, a monstrous home run. I mean, a world record home run at Jayden Daniels. And what he's been able to do his first 5 games is I think he's on pace right now to be not only rookie of the year, but MVP, the first time since I think Jim Brown did it a long time ago. But he's right in the talks right now. And if you don't think he is, watch him play.
Oh, yeah. And so, yes, I agree because he's transformed this place on the field. What is it that you're seeing that maybe has surprised you and how quickly? Because I think people thought he'd be good, but this good this early is asking quite a bit.
Yeah, and you look at a supporting cast, and I love Terry McLaurin. Don't get me wrong, but receiver. Other than that, I mean, they got some good role players, some good guys that'll catch a few balls, but nothing like strikes off the video at you. And then Brian Robinson's a good back, and Eckler's a good back. Don't get me wrong, but we're not talking about Derrick Henry and some of these other Josh Jacobs, some of these other big time running backs. These guys are good at what they do, but Jayden Daniels makes everybody better, and that's what great quarterbacks do. John, the great quarterbacks make people around you look very, very good and keeps everybody involved. Hell, last week he threw to 9 different receivers,
Yeah.
and he's keeping everybody involved, and everybody's doing their job, and everybody's bought into Dan Quinn's culture and play hard, play physical, and be unselfish. And guys on the team can buy into that because they have guys like Terry McLaurin and Wagner and Zach Ertz and guys like that that are not only good players but good for the locker room and great leaders.
What has Jayden done just from a quarterback standpoint that is like where you say like, wow, I didn't expect him to be this good at this area right now?
Well, I kind of expected him to be pretty good. If you watched him transform from Arizona State to LSU and the things that he did in the pocket and outside the pocket, he's got it all. He's got a elite skill set when it comes to running a football with his speed. So we know he's going to do that. He's got over 300 yards rushing already. The passing is what people kind of worried about. Could he stay in the pocket? After the Tampa game, I think people were probably a little concerned. He got a little happy feet and looked to run a little bit too quick. But now teams are realizing it's hard to rush him. It's hard to rush 5. It's hard to rush 6 because he avoids the first rusher, and then guys are running wide open, like against Cleveland when he hit Terry McLaurin for the 65-yarder. He just runs around the pocket and gets guys wide open. But his ability to stay in the pocket, play within the offense, and go through progressions, and add that element of his ability to run. I don't know if I was a defensive coordinator what I'd call. I'd probably call 4-man rushes, spot drop zones, keep an eyeball on him. If I wanted to play man, you'd have to probably rush 3, have a whole player, then have a spy on him. But with a 3-man rush, that's where he's been killing people. He's just standing back there waiting for people to uncover and dropping dimes. His accuracy's been over 80%, I believe. So he's doing that and he's not throwing all bubble screens. Early on, he was throwing a ton of them, but now he's throwing a ball down the field. That was my biggest concern is how he could hit second and third window throws, going through progressions at a consistent basis. But he that's not a concern anymore.
No, and it's funny because the other thing I remember when Kirk was here, you would talk about arm talent and just the ability, not just arm strength, but arm talent. How does he rank in that area? Because you just watch him, even like there was a throw to McCaffrey against the Cardinals and to Terry against the Cardinals where it says, see it, rip it. I mean, is that kind of what you're talking about in that area? And how does he stack up there?
Yeah, for sure. I think the one thing that I was also concerned with his ability to see a throw and make the throw and be confident and letting it go and be accurate with it. He's doing that. Sometimes as young quarterbacks, they have to really see guys wide open before they throw it. But he's doing a great job of anticipating windows. Okay, here he is over the hook player. I'm going to drop it over the hook player, and no, my receiver is going to go get it in that dead area. And he's been doing that. So, yeah, you got to be able to have that anticipation accuracy, which he has right now. He'll continue to get better the more he sees concepts against certain defenses. He'll continue to get better. But I really don't see a flaw in his game other than maybe his arm strength probably isn't quite as ultra talented as like a Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, but he's got plenty of arm talent. Don't get me wrong, but
Right.
that may be the only weakness that sometimes he floats the ball out there with a little bit too much touch, but that's nitpicking right there, big time.
Right. And you're talking about guys who have really strong arms too, when you're comparing that too. So like
Yeah.
that, but how do you see the impact of him when you're watching, whether it's in the red zone or third downs, because they're really good in both areas, or fourth downs? How do you see the impact of him on the field affecting what the defense does and how successful they might be with other plays?
It's a huge impact. I mean, you look at the one touchdown run against Arizona. I think it was Jeremy McNichols, a 27-yarder. They're running a little outside zone and they're blitzing off the backside edge, and Jayden just holds it just for a little bit, and both guys are looking at him because they're scared of Jayden's ability to run. And that hesitation right there on Budda Baker allowed Jeremy to run away from Budda Baker for 27-yard touchdown. So that he has a huge impact in the running game, not only when he carries it, but just when he hands it off, because people are like, holy shit, we gotta have eyeballs on this guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then in the passing game, his ability to get rid of the ball on rhythm, his ability to extend, like run RPOs. I mean, these are critical plays, like hand the ball off or throw out the bubble screen. They sound simple, but he reads the defense perfectly and throws the bubble screens when he has to, the release screens, the perimeter screens, and hands it off when he has to. So his decision-making has been elite. His athletic ability has been elite. His accuracy has been elite. His leadership skills obviously are elite. So he's pretty good right now.
He's pretty good. What first of all, how have you seen with what Cliff Kingsbury's done? What have your thoughts been on that, on the offense that they're running for him?
That's been great. I think Cliff does a great job. I think early on he was probably a little bit more conservative against Tampa Bay, just getting them involved in the game, getting the ball out of his hands quick, which is great. I mean, they lost the game, but it was a chance to get his feet under him and just see where he's at and get the speed of the game. And then he's continued to add on to the offense. He's been more aggressive down the field with some of his play passes. The protection schemes have been great. I was worried about his protection schemes coming over from Arizona. I think that's the one thing that he struggled at with Arizona is protecting the quarterback, but their line coach and Cliff has done a great job of adjusting and picking up blitzes. And obviously, if they do have free hitters, it doesn't matter because Jayden's going to make a miss anyway. But he's done a great job. He's been patient with the running game, which has been impressive. A lot of people talking about Jay as they should, but the running game has been outstanding. And that's because they added the 2 tight ends. They can block the point of attack and they can cut off the backside. The offensive linemen are more physical on the interior. They're able to pin and pull. They're athletic enough to do some of that stuff. So, and they have receivers that'll come in and block. I know, I think Brown's hurt right now, but they have physical receivers to block. Terry will block. So everybody's doing their job. They're physical. They're athletic enough to get on the perimeter. And now they have the ability for the quarterback to run and pull it out and make big plays.
Yeah, that pin and pull, they really had some success with that a few times. The other thing too is one thing they do, Jay, with the protection, they chip a lot on the ends. They're using the backs, the receivers, tight ends, whomever. When you're having to chip, and they're doing it a lot. So, and I know other teams do this. It's not unusual, but when you're asking both guys to do it, what's the challenge then for running routes out of that and make sure the timing is still there? And what's I guess the process of helping in that area and still making sure that you're part of the route?
Yeah, I think it's very important to chip, especially you got Lucas and Coleman on the left side. They're probably the weakest link as far as pass protection goes when it's a known passing situation. So to get 4 hands on that defensive end is pretty critical. You do lose some down the field throws with those guys, but a lot of times after you chip, you're going to be a late guy in a flat. And if the defense sinks back on a 7 cut or the go ball, you'll hit the flat route for gain of 12. So I think it's more important to slow down the pass rush to give Jayden an opportunity to see downfield. And then those guys will leak out and become, a third or fourth element in the progression, which is really no big deal because they could just run a flat route right now and it would be no difference. But having a chip on some of these quality defensive ends against your probably weakest link at left tackle, I think is important. And they've done a great job of doing that.
If you're an offensive guy, I mean, how are you planning right now to see okay, teams obviously start adjusting. The more there's tape on a guy, the more you adjust. So as an offensive coordinator, how would you be ready to counter what you think might be coming defensively?
I think keep your pedal to the metal, foot on their throat, and continue to be aggressive. And obviously we're going to keep the running game as a big part. I think Cliff's done a good job with personnel groupings as well. 2 tight ends, 1 tight end, 3 tight ends, whatever it might be. He's done a great job of keeping the defense off balance. But we're going to continue to push the envelope, man. We're going to, run the ball, be physical, but also have the ability to pull it out and hit some guys with some deep crossing routes on play actions and really attack a defense. And he's really got everything going right now. They've been in the lead the last couple of weeks. They've been ahead of the sticks the last couple of weeks. So as a play caller, that's your dream scenario to be in the lead, 1st and 10, 2nd and 3, 1st and 10, 2nd and 3. It is a dream situation for them. Now the issue will be if they get behind against Baltimore early by a couple scores and they become one-dimensional. We'll see how they do then, but hopefully that doesn't happen. They're able to continue with their plan and attack the way they've been attacking.
What do you think of that matchup? And how would you, I know Lamar is further ahead in the progression than where Jayden is. They're not the same quarterback, but how would you kind of compare the styles of the two? But what do you think? And also, what do you think of this matchup?
I think it's a great matchup. It's going to be the most fun game to watch, I think, in the NFL this year, other than Cincinnati, Baltimore last week was a fun game to watch. Baltimore's defense is what is different about Baltimore this year as they're not the same. They don't play the same brand of physical type defense. Their coverage isn't as tight as it usually is. Not saying it won't be as the season goes on. They got a new coordinator. They're working through some things. But I think they will stop the run. They will play the run a little bit better, maybe force Washington in some passing situations, and then that's when they have to attack these corners and in the secondary. So we'll see what happens here. It's going to be a great game. Lamar compared to Jayden they're 2 different guys. Yeah. Both have unique skill set where they can hurt you with their legs, and obviously are good enough to play in the pocket. I think Jayden's probably a little bit better passer than Lamar. Lamar's probably got the experience and the swag about him that he'll make a big play anytime, and Jayden will get to that point. They're both, I think, the 2 of the top four quarterbacks in the NFL. You get Patrick Mahomes in there. You got Jayden, you got Lamar, you got Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow. Those are the top five probably. And CJ Stroud, there's six. When you have one of these six or seven guys, the beauty of it is every time you walk out of the gate on Sunday, you feel like you have a chance to win because of that position. And Washington's in a great situation for the next 10, 15 years, maybe
Right.
20.
And you know, it's funny because you say that, and I was talking about this with some other like Logan Paulson, some other people, like when you have that guy, how much does it lift even the defense? What does it do for a defense knowing that you, okay, if nothing else, you've got this guy over here who can get you back in the game.
It means a lot. And you could tell the way the defense has played from week one to now. I mean, their effort, the
Yeah.
enthusiasm that they play with, and their ability to do different things because the offense is scoring. Now Dan Quinn can take a few more chances, roll the dice a little bit, knowing that if we do give up a big play, which we don't want to do, our offense will get the ball back and probably go down and score. So that is a great benefit. You know, the same thing if you have a great defense offensively, you don't have to take as many chances because, you know, the defense will get the ball back for you. But when you have a great offense, Dan Quinn can be a little bit more aggressive, which he has been lately, using more blitzes. Wagner's blitzed a couple times. Luvu's been all over the field blitzing. So yeah, they play harder. And if you watch the defense, usually they come down and get a drink of water in between series. But now they're watching the jumbotron and checking out what Jayden's doing. That's for sure.
That's right. And then, you know, and also like when you're running that up tempo offense too, because which they've done a lot. You know, I think they've run way more no huddle than any other team in the league. What does that say about what they want to do, what they think of Jayden? And then, you know, you can't run it if you think you're going to go 3 and out, because then the defense is going to be pissed at you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There are some negatives to going no huddle a lot, but they're going no huddle, but they're not going like ultra fast tempo.
Right.
It's not like they're going snap. They're going no huddle. They're kind of seeing the defense and they're getting into their inside zones or their run games that they like or the play pass or whatever they do. And Cliff does a good job. He has a very sound system starting from the beginning. They have one word play calls that everybody learns. And fortunately for them, they've stayed healthy. And that's the most important thing is keeping the same offensive lineman in there. The communication is easy, as same receivers, same tight ends. Once you start having injuries and new guys are coming in, these guys got to learn all the new words. It's very difficult. So if they can stay healthy, they'll be a force to be reckoned with for 17 weeks. But I love what they're doing. The tempo is not ultra fast, but they're keeping the defense on their toes. It's not like the defense can do a lot anyway against Jayden. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, right? They got to play zone. They got to keep eyeballs on them. So, but the tempo does help.
And that's what I was going to ask you too. Like, what can a defense start to do? Because if you play man, you risk, if he gets outside the pocket, there's a 34-yard game like you had the other day. But if you stay zone, does it make it easier for a quarterback to start, or an offense to start just kind of picking you apart? What do you do?
Yeah, I was interested. You know, I saw Arizona try to rush three guys a lot and play zone.
Yeah.
And that just gave Jayden just all kinds of time and he picked them apart. And then Cleveland, you know, Shorts was coach of the year as far as coordinators go last year. I was very interested to see Myles Garrett and the defense that they had. And they really didn't do anything crazy. They kind of stuck with the plan that they normally do. They tried to disguise some zones and all that stuff. But when they did try to go man to man, like you said, he ran away from the guys. They had free hitters. He just run away from them and gain 15. I mean, some of his best plays are 3-yard gains, avoiding an 8-yard sack. You know, I mean, the ability for him to stay on track, keep the team ahead of the chains is what's been most remarkable about Jayden. They have had very few 2nd and 12s, 3rd and 18. You know what I mean? They've been ahead. Their third down conversion rate, I think, is over 50%. I mean, which is unheard of with a rookie quarterback because they're in makeable situations a lot.
They for sure they are. And you know, yes, they definitely are. And you're right. Like there have been a couple of times like you got out of something, you only get, it's a 3-yard run in the stat book, but like there was one play like this should have been an 8-yard loss and it's a 3-yard gain. So it's a plus 11, you know? But
yeah. I'm at the sports bar watching this game. I'm laughing. I just can't believe some of the stuff that this guy's doing, some of the plays that he's making that people really, you know, it's a gain of 2. Everybody's like, oh, ho hum. I said, man, that's a hell of a gain of 2. I mean, jeez.
Yeah. I mean, so what the rest of the year, you know, what do you expect from them just based on what you've seen? And I know the NFL changes and it's, you know, there weird things happen, but do you look at them and say like, yeah, this team is for real?
They are 100% for real. And I look at the NFC East, just the NFC East. I see no reason why they can't win the NFC East. I think Dallas is in flux right now. Their defense is struggling a little bit. Dak makes his poor decisions, 1 or 2 a game. And, you know, their offense is good. I get it. Philadelphia, they're all over the place. They're bickering and bantering between the quarterback and the head coach. And you never know what you're going to get with Philly. And obviously the Giants, their defensive line is playing brigade, but we already beat the Giants. So I don't see any reason why they're not going to win the NFC East. You know, it's going to be tough. Don't get me wrong, but we definitely have the talent. I'm saying we now again. We definitely have the talent to compete in the NFC, win the NFC East, and win, you know, over 10, 12 games.
And then just a couple more things. How do you, and I know they play the Bears in a couple weeks. So you got Caleb Williams coming in here a couple weeks. Not necessarily to compare the two because they're different. And I know nobody has the same trajectory, right? But what have you thought about Caleb early on this year?
Well, I think Caleb struggled early on, obviously. He's got to try to figure out ways to play within the offense a little bit more. His ability to extend plays is kind of what made him so exciting at USC. Scramble around, duck around, do the Patrick Mahomes, spin around the pocket, throw it sidearm. But there are times you got to play within the pocket and take a gain of 5. I mean, that's nothing wrong with that. And that's what I think the difference is between Jayden and Caleb. Jayden is taking what the defense is giving him when the opportunity presents itself to make a big play on off-schedule plays. He's done that. Caleb more is I'm going to plan on making an off-schedule play, which you can't plan on those, you know, but I think he's getting better and better, and they're starting to reel him in a little bit, not taking away his ability to make off-schedule plays, but make sure that he stays in there when the play's there, see it and let it fly. He's got to have confidence in what he sees because he's got some good receivers now. DJ Moore and obviously Keenan Allen and Adunze. Cole Kmet's a good player, so they should have more systematic plays that work within the timing of the play where he gets the ball out. He did a much better job last week against Carolina.
The last thing too, then Robert Saleh was fired earlier this week. You know what it's like to have that feeling, but it's all. So first of all, I want to ask you, like, what is that feeling like to have that happen? What does it feel like to have that?
Well, it's never good to get fired. You know, you feel like a failure. Obviously, you feel like you let a lot of people down because you brought a lot of people in to work with you, coaches and trainers and equipment managers and all that stuff. And, you know, they're relying on you to provide success for them and their family. So, you know, it's disappointing. Obviously, the time that I got fired, you know, I don't want to say it was a relief, but I kind of knew it was coming. And for me to continue to go into the office and work 18 hours a day, knowing that I might get fired on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday was very difficult from a motivational standpoint. So I did get fired, and fortunately, it was the right time for me because we had too many people going in different directions, and they needed to make a change.
And it's, the other thing too, I think some of this stuff highlights this year the importance of who's picking the quarterback, because you look at like the Browns with Deshaun, you look at in Carolina, you look at the Jets, like you wonder, like, how important is it? Like, who's picking the quarterback and why is it so important that you leave it to the football field?
I don't know why you would hire an offensive coordinator like myself and not let myself, whose expertise is offense, not pick the quarterback. You know, I just don't understand that, but it is what it is. You know, I was an employee to a very high-powered owner and a general manager, and they wanted to make decisions. They had every right to do that, so I had to live with it.
Yeah, and then it's funny, and I appreciate you coming on. But you showed the clip of Zacchaeus the other day, running down in that play on the Eckler run. But I like that we both used the phrase "hauling ass" because I was talking about that, and I used that phrase, and I saw you use like, okay, good. But that's what he did. But when you see guys like that, I think that's when you know maybe there's something pretty good going on here.
Yeah, for sure. You don't all have to be fantasy football stars to make a football team be successful. You have to play your role and you have to play hard. And that carries over to special teams. That carries over to defense when people see that. And that I'm sure that Coach Quinn used that in his team meeting on Monday or Tuesday and say, hey, this is what we're all about, man. We're going to hunt on every play, whether you're on offense or defense, or we're always going to run to the ball. And you see plays all the time from other teams, big plays that could have been prevented if the backside was pursuing the level that Zacchaeus was doing it as an offensive player. So it's just great to see guys playing with great effort, because if you play with great effort, great things will happen more times than not.
Jay, always great to get your insight. Love it. And I'm glad that you're doing this stuff with Underdog Fantasy. Where can people find you? Where can they find your stuff now?
We have a YouTube channel called Clean Pocket. Just Clean Pocket, subscribe. And me and Colt McCoy, AQ Shipley and Justin Pugh, 2X offensive line. We just talk about what's going on in the league once a week. And then also my Twitter, Coach Jay Gruden. And then I have a TikTok now. I started at Coach Jay Gruden as well. So just doing a little bit of stuff. It's fun. But Underdog Fantasy, I do all those picks. I'm like 13 for 15, really? Code word Gruden if you want to type that in and play a few plays for fun. It's good.
You like the TikTok?
Actually, I have somebody helping me do it. I send them the plays that I break down and they post it. I don't know how to do all that stuff yet. I'm still a rookie.
I don't have a TikTok account. I would be lost doing it. I would need somebody to do it for me. So I haven't even tried. So I admire people who try that right now,
Yeah.
especially as you get into our age bracket. So I think that says a lot. So anyway, Jay, thanks a lot. Always enjoy it.
Yeah, John, thank you.
That's it for this episode. Thanks to Jay for joining me, and thank you, as always, for tuning in. I'll be back on Friday with another episode talking to ESPN's Jamison Hensley about the Baltimore Ravens as we get you ready for Sunday's matchup. And don't forget, I'll have my 5 things I think on Saturday as well. I'll talk to you next time.